Good evening, I'm Conor McCue. Our top story at 7, the murder charges for Sydney and Tammy Moore are dismissed. Right now the crowds outside the State House are a little bit smaller than they were earlier, but they are in a smaller area, and that's because law enforcement is setting up these fences. But what we do know is that this fire started right here in the garage of this home. We know that after that, neighbors say there were several explosions, and we know those explosions were so powerful they even blew the sides and the doors off the side of this home. We're here at the scene of this accident that Highway Patrol is now calling a deadly accident. They have just released that there was a fatality. The windows are still boarded up more than 24 hours later. There's also plenty of glass and blood spatter all around the parking lot. The traffic here on Highway 501 can be no fun. In fact, if you take a look right now, it's actually at a standstill over here by Carolina Forest. People have been trying to get in and out of here all night, but with floodwaters more than a foot deep, it's very hard. We do not recommend it. There are rules in place to prevent injuries. Pitch limits are an ever-evolving science. In Dixie Youth rules, 13 and 14-year-old pitchers are limited to 95 in a day. After 45 pitches, there are requirements for rest. And after 75 pitches, the rest requirement goes up. Well, NASCAR and the Confederate flag are two things that have gone hand in hand for many decades, but this year that may not be the case. Now the track is hoping that instead of having an infield full of rebel flags, it'll see more of a different kind of red, white, and blue. Right now it's a very different scene here on the State House grounds, but earlier it was a whirlwind of emotions. People from both sides of the argument were here, and they weren't afraid of sharing their opinions. What started as joy and elation for many today turned into a realization of something much bigger.
Times are changing. Like I said, my boyfriend's white, my daughter's mixed. Times are changing. So, I mean, like, we need to change with it.
That change is something not everyone sees necessary. Sammy Evans says bringing down that symbol of his heritage won't unite the people of South Carolina.
When the flag comes down, a lot of people think that we're going to wake up the next morning and everybody's going to love everybody, but they're not.
But once the news broke that flag was officially coming down,
we just overcame!
People did come together and celebrate what they see as much needed progress.
Hey, take it down. No one should have to walk through the world and walk by a symbol of slavery and hatred, ever. Goodbye.
Robin Hipp says that flag does not represent heritage and does not represent South Carolina. What it can now represent is history and progress.
What it's going to do is tell bigots that this is not their state of
One state, one flag.
that it belongs to all of us.
One state, one flag.
With just about every resource available, towns around Georgetown County are in decision mode. Leave now or wait for the flooding to get worse. On the north side of the Black River,
you never think that this could happen to you.
One community doesn't even have a choice.
That house over there with that green shop, that's my shed and that's my house right there.
Bryant Leday has lived in this home in Chopee for more than 7 years.
This is worse than anything.
He got married here, raised his kid here, and now, like many others, has to find a new home for the time being.
If it wasn't for that little boat, I would have had to tote it. Tote my wife and my kid and everybody out of there.
Leday says what's making this situation harder for everyone is some people are now preying on their misfortune.
People coming up here with boats and spotlights shining around. You know, that's an eerie feeling when you lose everything you got, and then you got people coming in here trying to take what's left.
Leday says at this point, though, worrying would be a waste of time.
You got to keep living.
Instead, he hopes folks will join together.
This can't stop you or slow you down.
And get through this as a community.
It's not about how hard you get knocked down, it's how you get back up after you get knocked down.
Look right up there, buddy.
Say cheese, do a big smile for me, baby.
It's a sight you'll see in any mall across the country. The goofy photographer, crying kids, and a big man in red smiling through it all.
Say I like Star Wars.
And with each request, Santa assures he'll make it happen.
Here we go, sweetheart.
That is, until 9-year-old Ronnie McCune had his chance to ask for a Christmas
If our
gift.
dad isn't home on Christmas Eve, do you mind making a stop by Fort Hood in Texas?
You see, for the past 21 years, Ronnie's father, Ronald McCue, has served in the National Guard. He's done many tours in the Middle East and recently finished his final deployment. Since then, he's been stationed in Texas, and his kids haven't seen him since before he left, something they hoped old St. Nick could change. Gripping tighter than ever, this family won't be waiting until Christmas for its gift.
You thought your dad wasn't going to be home, the next thing you know, you just see him right after you tell Santa what you want. That's kind of exciting.
Knowing I'm home, knowing I can touch him, knowing I can hug him, hold him, tuck him in bed, it's something you miss.
So with another 3 days until the big holiday, the McCue family will be a little busy.
Santa.
Remembering their picture-perfect Christmas surprise.
We just asked Santa for you, and here you are.
In Florence, Conor McCue,
I might make you carry me.
WMBF News.